That's going to be too similar to yours, isn't it?
That's going to be a bit too similar to mine, I
So
reckon.
here-ish.
If that's alright with you.
This is exciting. Do you want me to keep it steady or do you want me to move it?
Yeah, move it. If
Like
that's
this?
alright with you. Yeah, is that alright?
Is this going to distract you? If I do
Make
this?
up.
Can we start with the one about when your house got bombed? When you woke up with your...
Blimey, go back in it.
Going back.
Right. I was in bed, and suddenly there's a bloke there in a Macintosh and a tin helmet saying, "Are you all right?" And I wondered who the hell he was. And the wall, say I was sat here, that wall wasn't there. Surprising that, because you don't hear an explosion. Well, we never did anyway. You didn't hear the one that was close to you. You'd hear the one that landed over there, but not one that landed here.
Was bombing quite like a normal thing?
Yeah. The Germans sent the buzz bombs over, and the Spitfires used to just tip them over with their wings, and down they went. Rather than waste money shooting them, because as you shot them, they exploded, so you were in danger as well. Molotov bread baskets was one that used to bounce. That's what we call the Molotov bread baskets. A normal bomb would just come and explode where it lands, but bread baskets used to explode and jump and explode again. I remember Barry's balloons to stop the planes flying low, so they had to fly above them to drop the bombs. The sky used to be full of them, and they were at different heights to stop the planes either flying above them or below them, because Barry's balloon was a big thing, and they had strands hanging beneath them, like wires or ropes. And as a kid, whenever you drew a house or something, you always put a Barry's balloon up in the sky, because they were always there. And they were made of silk, if I remember rightly. And if they were shot down or came down, I know we had a flat, and we were on the ground floor, and the stairs went up to the ceiling to the bottom floor upstairs. And in front of these stairs we used to have Barry's balloon material, silk. Don't know why. I had a good war. I made a lot of money selling shrapnel to soldiers, Yanks. We used to sell them any old bit of metal. Do you want this, Mr. Bit of shrapnel from the bomb? Give you a tanner or something for it, piece of metal. I knew there's plenty of shrapnel about.
The Americans, were they the nicest soldiers?
Yeah, they were easy. You get money, cigarettes, gum off them.
Yeah.
They used to take pity on us. We used to lock the Yanks in the public shelters. They used to, in the afternoon, the Yanks were let out, free of their duties, and they used to have girls, and they'd go into public shelters where there were beds. I had a latch on the door, so you used to shut the door and put a stick through it, because the glass was always broken on the doors, a little panel of glass with wire.
Yeah.
They were always broken, we used to break them. And we'd shout, "Dirty old Yank!" Because that was the only place a Yank could take a bird. street shelters. They were all right until they had a girl, and they used to tell us to sod off. But they were generous, the Yanks, I've got to say that. We used to get money out of prostitutes. They used to give us sixpence and things like that. But the Americans used to come into town in the afternoons, and directly they came into town, the prostitutes used to sod off you. So we didn't get any money off of them. Yeah. I remember when Mark was about 15, 16, every time we saw my mother used to say, "Right, I'll race you." And always wanted to race Mark because he was tall. And it was my mother and Grandma's mother, they were here, and they went shopping, and they got to the end of the road to cross over. I think they took the dog with them, whatever dog we had at the time, and they stood on the curb waiting to cross the road, and my mother would suddenly say, "Come on, Glad, now." He'd push her across the road, always dashing here and there. Whereas Grandma's mother used to say, "No, wait till the road's clear." But no, not my mother. "Quick now!" A lot of kids used to meet at the same place, and we always used to go up to Clapham Common, and there was I don't know if it was an ACAC site or searchlight site with the army. And it was always full of kids on the run from school, and we used to get cocoa off of them. There were hundreds of kids there, all dodging school. The schoolboy blokes were old, because all the younger ones were in the army. So the schoolboy blokes that were going around looking for kids in the streets, so old they couldn't catch them. And you knew them because they all had bowler hats. Be on bikes with bowler hats. He's like a schoolboy bloke. But they were weird days. Forget where we were. We were living here, but we were in Sawbridgeworth at Some Do, and some woman mentioned it, and we both remembered this gun site. And suddenly, you know, I remembered, or I said it and she remembered that. She said, "Yeah, there were hundreds of kids there." I said, "Yeah." So it sort of confirmed my story that it went.
Did you have like an air raid shelter or a bomb shelter or anything? No.
Some people had Anson shelters, which you used to have to dig yourself. And not many people had gardens anyway, not in London. There was another one called the Morrison shelters, which were indoors, and it was like a table, a steel table. You couldn't move it, you know, it was solid.
What did you do if like the sirens went off?
When it got too heavy at nights, you used to go down to the street shelters.
Right.
All we had was a kitchen table. The family used to dive under that. There were street parties, and I suppose if we'd lived here, there would have been rows of tables outside and sit round there having the food. But no, nothing else. And it wasn't the kids that enjoyed it. The adults used to arrange the street parties and then they'd take over. Something that was hard to get during the war was sugar. You had sugar rationed, and you used to be able to find a spib. Do you know what that is?
No.
A flashy crook.
Okay.
Really. All always had petrol coupons or anything you wanted for money you could sell. And they used to sell sugar. I don't know where you used to know. Someone in this area, say, would knock on our door and say there's a spid down the road selling sugar. You knew it was crooked, but you still used to do it. If you could get something extra, you know, you'd do it if you had the money. A lot of kids were evacuated. Well, I wanted to be, but my brother and sister said, no, we'll stay with you, Mummy. I wanted to be evacuated. And we had to, on the day the school was evacuated, those of us that weren't going used to have to stand there and wave them off. They think, lucky devils, yeah. Get away from Mum and Dad. I don't know where they went. They must have been Norfolk, so I don't know where they went. Do you know that, Ron?
No, I don't, but anywhere in the countryside, because some went to East Anglia, some went to Devon and other places.
Yeah.
South Coast.
They were the lucky ones. And I remember another time, during the war, there was a lamppost, say, across the road from where we lived.
Yeah.
And there was some blokes hitting another bloke who was beating him up. And my mother saw it and she went out with her, don't know what she had in her hand, saying, leave me alone, leave me alone. And she went in amongst them and they all scarpered.
Really?
Oh yeah. No fear for her. Can't remember too much about school.
You weren't often there.
Well, yeah. I was one of the lucky ones. You were always told if the air raid sirens went before you left home, you stayed at home. You didn't go to school, you know. And I lived beside the school, so I was quite lucky. I used to wait until the sirens, they used to go about 10 to 9, something like that, the Germans used to come over. So I was quite often at home.
Did you go to more than one school?
No, I only went to Edgware, junior and senior. So I could sit a minute before time, you know, hoping the sirens went. I don't know if I did more time at school or more time out of school. I don't know what I did during the day for not going to school. Walking around. I don't know what we did. My mother knew.
What did she do during the war?
What did she do?
Yeah.
Worked in a factory, Frigidaires. It's in Colindale. And they made fuselages and things like that. And I think she was what they called a progress chaser. She used to have to follow orders through the factory and push them through. But still, she worked anyway, which gave us leeway to get away with murder. They machine gunned our school, and all the factory workers came running out. My mother was there, and she was asking for me, and I wasn't on the register. It was easy to do because if you didn't answer, someone would say, oh, they got bombed last night, miss. Yeah. And I came up behind her and said, oh, Mum, and she cuddled me, hit me, and cuddled me, and... But still, it was one of those things.
Was she angry at you for it?
don't know. Could never tell whether she just hit you. Bang, bang. It was exciting. You could get away with murder because all the younger blokes were in the army, so all the schoolboy men that used to chase you were old men. Could never catch you. And the coppers were the same. Oh, you go scrumping.
What's
And
scrumping?
I remember,
What's scrumping?
nicking apples.
Oh, okay, right.
I remember once I was there and I was up a tree and a copper came and caught us.
Yeah.
Really old build type of bloke and got us down. He went to grab me and I ran away, shirt full of apples, running like stink, and this old copper chasing me. Never caught me. Yeah, they were funny old days, those were.
Yeah, by the sounds of it, you could get away with a lot.
I did.
The police couldn't catch him either.
Well, the police were old. All the young police were in the army, so all they had were old retired coppers who could run. I remember we lived in flats and we lived on the ground floor and there was another flat above all the way along and we played snowballs in the garden. And one of the balls went upstairs next door to the top flat and hit the door. And the woman was a bit nutty, came out and threw water at us. And we told my mum when she came home, and she's leaning across me had iron stairs at the back, and she's there with the broom handle whacking upstairs. Come out, you daft cow! Well, she wouldn't have had anybody, my mum.
Did you say you used to like ride the tube round?
Ride the tube.
Yeah.
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 There used to be, I don't know now, a route called the Inner Circle, and the doors were left open. You know, you could open and shut them yourself. And we used to get on this, don't know how much, penny or tuppence, and go round and round. And we'd stand by the doors with the doors open and looking through. Crazy days. You could have jumped off any time and I don't know what the Circle Line is like now, but that's how it was. We used to have an aunt lived in Battersea, and we used to go and see Aunt and Uncle Harry. And on the tube stations, people used to be sleeping there on the platforms, and you'd walk beside, you know, through past them. They were all sheltering in the tube stations.
There's quite a lot of people doing that.
Yeah, I can remember them. Yeah.
Yeah, it does sound like you had some fun.
Eh?
Sounds like you had some fun during the war.
Yeah. As I say, I had a good war. My dad was away in the army. My mum was at work all day. So there wasn't much control on us.
Did it feel dangerous at the time?
Eh?
Did it feel dangerous during the war?
Not really, you lived with it. I think the only danger you had was night times when they used to come over and bomb. You didn't know where to go really. Yeah, when it got bad at night times, the bombing, we used to go to the street shelter brick shelters when it got too heavy. If you heard the whistle of a bomb, you'd all dive under the table. It sounds crazy, but you'd all be sat round that table and directly you heard the whistle, you'd all dive under it. It would have supported anything. That's how you used to do it. So somehow you should survive.